MAP President Du-Baladad. Let's talk about leadership first. I want to talk about being a woman in a leadership position, but you were quick to put me in my place, saying being a woman didn't have anything to do with it. Well, maybe we'll talk about leadership, and that's one of the things that MAP is working on, right? To elevate the quality of management, leadership, or managerial skills in the Philippines so that they contribute more to nation building. What does it take now to be a leader? You mentioned that there's a lot of things going on, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. We have all these opportunities, we have these threats. What does it take now to be a successful leader in the Philippines and in this time?
I always struggle with that. What does it take to be a leader?
Yeah.
I think first and foremost.
Well, what does it take to be you? I mean, I think
first and foremost, you just have to be authentic.
Okay.
You have to be yourself.
Okay.
Who you are, what you are.
Okay.
When you think objectively, and you think outside your personal interest.
Okay.
Okay. You should be able to transcend beyond personal interest and look at the interests of the majority.
Right.
I think that's the number one, trait of a leader.
Right.
You look at your constituents,
Right.
don't look at yourself.
But MAP does a lot of work. You have an education committee.
We do.
And you have a lot of programs really to help younger managers, those aspiring to be managers. Can you talk about what MAP does?
Actually, in MAP, as you know, the average age there is now 62. It used to be 70 plus. No?
Okay.
Now it's 62. And there are more. We try to incentivize the younger CEOs to come in.
Okay.
And we already have them. Now, to put them into the system, because normally when they are there and you have the traditional CEOs and they have normally their minds don't meet.
Okay.
Because there are already differences in the way they do business, in the way they think.
The difference in generation.
In generation gap, etc. So what we did now during this year is to put, because we have committees, we have 30 committees.
Wow.
And to put the next generation as vice chairs.
Okay.
And that's mandatory.
So that's their apprenticeship.
That's their apprenticeship.
Okay.
And that would force them to participate in the committee's activities. That's one. In addition to that, we also have leadership training for them.
Yeah.
We also are taking care of the tech startups.
Okay.
How to scale up.
Right.
And if there is what you call also a next generation CEO conference where they can converse and they could share ideas with the traditional ones. So these are the things that we are trying to help in the next generation.
Yeah. Well, how are we doing? Because, I look at, the successful people in the world today, and, you and I belong to a generation that is more traditional. We go to school, we get our experience, but more and more we are seeing these successful people who didn't even go to school, right? And then they are obviously successful at what they do. You have Steve Jobs who passed away, Mark Zuckerberg, and even in the Philippines we have someone like Injap Sia who obviously one of the youngest Filipino billionaires. Do you think there is a new pathway now because of maybe the times, because of technology, to be an effective leader nowadays, or that it takes something different to be a successful leader today?
Could be, although you may say it's not basically leadership. It's business grit.
Okay.
And it's about digital. If you look at all those who are very young and very successful,
they're very savvy in technology.
It's mostly on technology.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we didn't have during our time.
Okay.
So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. But does it worry you that, with technology now, since you brought it up, that artificial intelligence will somehow take over some of the work?
It's a worry if we cannot cope up with it.
Okay.
It's not a worry if we can go beyond what they can do.
Okay.
And that's why that's why I said this is something really worries us.
Yes.
Because then we'll have a generation, the next generation, who wouldn't be able to find a job.
Right, or at least a decent paying one. Yeah. Wow, that's but are there more sectors, do you think, that are more vulnerable than the others to the changes? I mean,
all the sectors would be vulnerable to the changes.
Okay. Well, the ones that are very important to the Philippine society, the outsourcing sector is one. what's going on there? And how are our leaders there? Are they capable enough to, as you said, think of something more to add?
That's what they are doing now. It's
Okay.
not the plain like business processing.
Okay.
They are not trying to add some high value or
Right.
high thinking into what they are doing now. I think they are not that lazy not to be doing that.
Okay. And talking about MAP, what interventions now does MAP offer? And what are some of the misconceptions? I mean, people think of MAP and they think of some of the most successful business leaders in the country. But is it open to non-CEOs or those who just maybe want to have lunch for every once in a while, listen to some of the speakers?
You are MAP, right?
Well, yes, I'm there for the lunch. But
Yes.
are there other people? Is it open to people younger than myself? And
Yes, we have relaxed our rules a little.
Okay.
Okay, we accept the top 3 in business. Then we have some exceptions. For example, I think in startups, even if they are very young, even if they can't meet the size of the business,
Right.
then if the board agrees that it will be accepted, it will be accepted.
Yeah.
So we have actually opened up a little already.
And then what would they get out of it? I mean,
Well,
other
they
than sitting next to
Networking,
Miss Dick and listening to the
networking, a
speakers?
lot of
Okay.
learnings,
Okay.
and whatever. MAP is also into advocacy.
Yes.
And so if they have problems, they can always say. And if we see that it's a general problem that is facing an industry, then we look at it and try if there is anything we can help.
And you think it can help them maybe become better leaders that we
Yeah,
need?
if you are with good leaders, then you become also one.
Okay. And you were saying
Isn't
that you
it?
have 30 committees.
We have 30 committees. Yes.
Right. And is it a misimpression that you're only in Manila, or because I notice sometimes you have programs across
We are in
the country?
Manila, but we have members
All
all over, in Cebu, in Davao. We had our mini GMM in Cebu, I think, 2 months ago.
Okay.
And we inducted actually the mayor of Cebu as
Okay.
our member because he's saying, I am also a CEO, which is correct. It's the
Okay.
CEO of Cebu.
Mayor Rama?
Mayor Rama,
Okay.
yes. And we, together with the director of ARTA,
Okay.
we met them in Cebu and they were inducted in Cebu.
Right. And how are our leaders now compared to the others you're seeing from other countries? Do you think the Filipinos
We're good.
have what it takes to be competitive?
Of course. I think even in ASEAN, they would still put their hats down when it's a Filipino
Okay.
manager that's talking. No?
Okay.
And that is why when we look at the other countries in the ASEAN, if they have a similar organization like MAP, because I want to create an ASEAN organization of management so that there will be it would not just be here in the country, there would be better sharing of best practices, there would be more collaboration, more networking with other countries, with like-minded individuals also like MAP. And I have already talked to Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
They have a similar organization which is on management. And there is also one in Malaysia, but I have yet to reach out to them. The rest they don't have.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you like to share with younger executives who are just starting out? And of course, when they start out, they're looking, at the career end of maybe being a CEO or president or leaders in organizations. What are some of the things that you tell them so that they will have a better chance of being successful? What should
It's
they know?
discipline,
Okay.
which is very hard to exact from the younger generation, right?
Okay.
It's discipline of oneself,
Okay.
of yourself,
Okay.
discipline on your thinking,
Okay.
and discipline when you make decisions.
Okay.
Do not be overwhelmed by decisions
Okay.
that you think would be of great benefit to you.
Okay.
Because I think then the result would just be short-lived.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that being a woman doesn't have anything to do with it. Is that a good reflection of Philippine society that we've, I suppose, made it fair, or more or less level for men and women who are in the private sector?
Well,
or are these exceptions?
If I look at my experience, no, I think it's a fair game between men and women.
Okay.
In short, sex doesn't matter.
There was no discrimination because you're a woman.
Yes, it's about, can you deliver?
Okay.
But as I understand, this is only here and for more educated women.
Okay.
As I understand, those in the provinces, we hear stories of not fair treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about we talk about motherhood for instance a while ago. There is sometimes a sacrifice made by new mothers, or those who have young children, to maybe put their careers on hold, right? To
That happened to me.
Yes,
that happened to me.
But how do you make it fair? I mean, shouldn't the husband be looking after the children as well?
You have to have a very supportive husband or
okay,
partner.
so that's key. So
that's the key.
You have to have a good partner.
Yes, you have to have a very supportive partner.
Okay, and how do we do that? Because in this age, we hear more and more people.
You select a good husband.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But
because that happened to me during my earlier days when I was in my childbearing and child-rearing days.
Right.
Office to me is just secondary.
Right.
So I stay in the house most of the time.
Right.
My priority would be the kids.
Right.
So that's why it's only after 7 years in my work before. It's only after 7 years that I got promoted.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you regret any of it? That
No.
you could have
No.
done it faster?
No.
Okay.
Because when I was already there, then I was promoted every 6 months.
Oh wow.
So there's a way to catch up.
Wow. Well, Dick, it's been a pleasure talking to you as always. Before we go, would you like maybe to leave a final message to maybe some future leaders out there who maybe are looking for groups to join or from causes to participate in?
Well, what would I say? Except that please join our campaign against malnutrition and child stunting. We have to save our next generation.
That's a very worthy cause. Again, thank you very much. I'd like to thank also our viewers watching this program and the viewers watching the replay. I'd like to thank also Pastor Apollo Kibuloy for making this program possible. This has been Business and Politics. I'm Dante Klinkang, and I will see you next week.